Hey guys, welcome back to Realign His Will, a channel all about realigning our will back to Christ. Today we're going to talk about the desires of our heart and the wait in between and what we should do while we wait. This is coming from Nehemiah 2. I love the story of Nehemiah. I'm actually really excited to be in this book. So I'm going to give you guys a precept in chapter to tell you chapter 1 so you can catch up to chapter 2. But I highly recommend, please read the Bible for yourself. All right, so Nehemiah 1 talks about Nehemiah being the cupbearer to King Art. I call him King Art because I don't know how to pronounce his name. The correct spelling is up here. And Nehemiah has this burning desire in his heart because he hears about what's going on in Jerusalem. So he's like brokenhearted about it. He's sad. He fasts. When he fasts, he prays, and he waits 4 months before anything happens. But I want to let you know what he does that lets me know what he did in his preparation. So we're going to start off in chapter 2. The first thing Nehemiah does is we are to pray without ceasing. 1 Thessalonians 5:17 says to be praying without ceasing is actually the will of God for our life, to continuously be in prayer. Number 2, avoid manipulation tactics. In those 4 months that Nehemiah was waiting, at no given point do we see in scripture where Nehemiah tried to make a face with the king, where Nehemiah tried to bring up the conversation about what was going on. He said nothing. From chapter 1 to him finding out to chapter 2, 4 months passes by and nothing was said. If you want God to be in control of the situation, you cannot jump in the driver's seat and try to manipulate, control, and make things happen. Point number 3, in between the wait, ask God for a plan and direction. In Nehemiah 2, 6-8, we know that Nehemiah already had a plan in place and had a direction from God because he asked the king for 2 letters. 1 letter so he can get past beyond the river, and another letter so he can get timber from Asp, if I'm saying that correctly. He had a plan and he knew what he needed to do. So make sure while you're waiting and while you're praying, in those prayers, you're asking God for a plan and direction. Step 4, when the time comes, pray before you open your mouth. Sometimes we're like, ooh, the time is here. Let me just say what I gotta say. No, we are always giving God control. In Nehemiah 2:3, Nehemiah prays before he responds back to the king to make sure that God is with him at all times. Again, guys, pray before you open your mouth. All right, step number 5, do not shop around for advice and do not put the blame on anybody else. No time as Nehemiah was talking to King Art did he say, well, if Jerusalem had done this, if these people that were in the land had done that, we wouldn't be in this situation. At no time Nehemiah says that. You do not need to blame anybody for what's happened, and you also don't need to ask people for advice. People's opinions do not matter, which I'm going to say it again, but it's from a different context. But I'll say this again. Don't shop around for advice. Don't tell everybody the situation, trying to get whatever validation you need out of it, which is actually point number 6. Nehemiah never asks for validation. At no time do you see in scripture where he's asking his friends, do you think I could really build this wall? Do you think I'm capable of getting people together to make sure that this wall is built? At no time. So that says to us that we don't need to ask for any type of validation. When God gives us a desire to do something or to be something, that is validation enough because it is a burning desire within you. Step number 7, Nehemiah told no one until the time was right. In Nehemiah 2, 11-14, Nehemiah sneaks out at night to observe the land. Now, he's already been in Jerusalem for 3 days, y'all. Said nothing to anyone while he's there. He got a bunch of timber in the backseat of his car. Said nothing to them. Well, not car, but you know what I mean. He told nobody nothing. Then he went out at night, inspected the wall, and came back and then said something. We don't need to speak. We don't need to tell everybody. We don't need to let everybody know what's going on. Tell everyone. Allow God to allow the opportunity to happen. If you walk with God, you'll know. He'll let you know when to speak. And my final point is do not worry about what other people have to say about what God told you. In the story, Sanballat and Tobiah were haters, big time haters. Even when you're reading the scripture, it says it bothered them, it grieved them. They were very angry because Nehemiah was building a wall. It had nothing to do with them. And they even went to Nehemiah saying, would you go against the king? Let me tell you what Nehemiah says that's so amazing. He said, the God of heaven will make us prosper, and his servants will arise and build. But you have no portion or right or claim in Jerusalem. He didn't even respond back to them, to the statement that they made. You don't need to respond to your haters. You don't need to respond to anybody that's upset about what you're doing and why you're doing it. Let me know if any of these pointers has helped you.